Thank you for staying tuned. Zambia has introduced a cap on the price of maize to keep the staple food affordable, sparking protests from commercial farmers who accuse the government of bringing back price controls. Agriculture Minister Michael Katambo said on Sunday that millers, stock feed manufacturers, chain stores and grain traders agreed in a meeting with the government to peg the price of maize at a maximum of 2,600 kwacha per ton. The price of maize meal, Zambia's staple food, has in some cases doubled to 150 kwacha per 25 kg bag from 75 kwacha early this year. Zambia's 2019 maize production is expected to fall 16% to about 2 million tons from 2.39 million tons last year, largely due to prolonged dry weather. The Zambia National Farmers Union, which represents commercial farmers, has however condemned the cap, saying prices should be left to market forces. And over the last few years, tensions have been brewing between foreign-owned shops and locals in Johannesburg, South Africa's commercial city. Recently, the police carried out several raids in Johannesburg Central Business District, which resulted in more than 400 foreign nationals arraigned for charges relating to the alleged sale of counterfeit goods, among other charges. Several South African police officers were also arrested for trying to resell the seized goods back to the shop owners. A few days later, foreign-owned shops were attacked and looted in several parts of Soweto Township. In the coming report, Channel's television business correspondent in South Africa, Itumeleng Mafisa, takes a closer look at the issues surrounding foreign-owned small businesses in South Africa.
Efforts by Johannesburg police to seize counterfeit goods from informal traders and small businesses has resulted in xenophobic tensions between South Africans and the owners of foreign-owned businesses. With over 5 million people living in the city of Johannesburg, the struggle for resources and economic opportunity has sparked tensions between South Africans and the owners of foreign businesses.
They raid our shop indiscriminately. As you can see, they are going around and not showing proper documentation which entitled them to break the shops, and they are seizing our goods without our consent, without us being present. Well, while we went there to ask them to see whether they have proper search and seizure warrant, we were not allowed. Rather, we were cornered and put in a police van.
We don't need them anymore in this community.
Currently, South Africa's unemployment rate stands at around 28%, and starting a business is a sensible option for both locals and foreigners. According to the South African Chamber of Commerce and Industry, foreign-owned shops added value to the South African economy.
Do foreigners make a contribution? Of course they do make a contribution to economic development. They make a contribution not necessarily by participating in illicit economy. Informal, yes. Illicit, no. Because if they are informal, they're in South Africa with papers, and they're able to go to the local suppliers and buy goods and sell them. There's nothing wrong with that, provided they're in designated areas. What should not happen, what should local governments not allow, is a situation where I've established a business here, I'm paying a lease to the landlord, and I'm paying taxes, and I'm paying local government, whatever the case might be, and then 4 or 5 informal traders, they put up shop outside of my premises. That is not informal. What you have in that particular situation is a chaos and a shambles.
The South African Minister of Small Business and Development was not clear of exactly how much these foreign-owned businesses contributed to the overall economy.
We can't say the contribution of foreign nationals is whatever, because we don't have it recorded anyway. In the informal business and where a nationality contributes, it has to be recorded. So where I'm sitting now, I'm not sitting with the statistics that says nationals from this country are contributing this much on this one. We are aware, of course, that the people who are trading, for instance, in spaza shops and other areas, they are trading who are not necessarily South Africans. The question is that are they legal to trade there, and is our laws permitting them to do that? And I'm saying that is secondary. We'll have that discussion. We'll have to quantify what is the value of that trade.
Part of the major concern was the damage that counterfeit goods did to the South African economy. According to the South African Revenue Services, 1.7 billion rands worth of counterfeit goods were seized in the first 6 months of 2019.
We filled 5 articulated trucks, but beyond those 5 articulated trucks, we brought 2 more with big containers that the stuff was filled. Remember, that cleaning is not over in the CPT. There are many other things that are there. The stuff that has no brand at all, they have machines there that they bring the stuff and they brand it inside South Africa, which is a clear fake stuff. If that stuff was manufactured in South Africa, you would have created so many jobs out of that stuff.
With constant harassment and spontaneous raiding, being a foreign shop owner in Johannesburg seems risky.
No jobs for them, and they need to survive. So they created that as a platform to survive. So they started with trading on the street and everything. And like here, they don't get grant, they have no support system. So they created their support system. So mainly when they come, they take over the business.
But the tensions between South Africans and foreign shop owners has not deterred the businessmen from persevering despite volatile conditions. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Itumeleng Mafisa, Channels Television News.
And for update from Nigerian equities market, here is Temple Ashaju. Hello, Temple. Good afternoon. Well, it looks like a slow start of the week for the equities market. What is your outlook? Hello, Temple. What's your outlook for the week? We are seeing a slow start for the equities market.
Right, Chimeze, thank you. Well, I think the fact that we saw some good gains and buy sentiment last week in the markets gives opportunity for mixed trading to actually happen this time, this week. Last week we saw 3 sessions of gains, and the last time we saw that in the market was, I think, May this year was the last time we had 3 consecutive sessions of gain in the market. So this week, analysts have projected that we're likely to have the same pattern of trading, opening the week, and eventually we'll see some profits taken. However, what we're seeing right now in the markets is about the reverse of this analysis. We're seeing some losses in the market. At midday, we saw the market zipping about 0.91%. This speaks against actually what the analysts had actually forecast. But then, at the end of the day, we're likely to see more of mixed trading as the week goes by. Because again, if you look at the domestic scene, things are looking very positive. We've seen the ministers now taking decisions swiftly, giving some kind of indication about what they intend to do next. The Minister of Finance had made some move. The President himself has also made some move, signing some billions of naira into agreement with in the power sector. And of course, the Minister of Power has released a blueprint kind of as to how she intends to recover the $614 billion that has been given to state governments by way of bailout. So the recovery plan is out there for investors. We've also seen the power sector, Gencos and Discos. We've seen a blueprint from the federal government talking about how some kind of cost-reflective tariff will be in place sometimes next year, not this year. They've cleared the air to show that there are no plans, to put that in place this year, even though we know that some strategic agreements has been signed with some, highbrow areas in Lagos and a couple of other parts of the country. So these are things that investors have been reacting to as of last week, and of course will continue to react to this week. But we should also highlight the fact that there's been a 1.1% decline in the Brent crude this morning to $58 per barrel. That is something that actually generates receipts for Nigeria. That's where we generate our revenue from. That remains a very, very negative sentiment for a lot of investors who will be looking at the Nigerian space. And so, therefore, you see smart investors now trying to take profits on some of the dividend-paying stocks with fundamentals that had actually gained last week. this week. That's the kind of sense that we're likely to see that will also basically create that mixed trading pattern that has been projected by analysts. Chimeze.
Okay, Tempo. Well, the week has just started, so let's see how all of these play out in the course of the week. Well, on that note, we wrap up today's edition of the program. Thank you for watching. I'm Chimeze Obi Iwago.